Good morning, Idaho. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to the Local Yokel Idaho podcast, where we're talking about what is going on in the wonderful state of Idaho. Starting off with holidays and interesting events for the week, we have Monday the 20th of March, which is National Proposal Day and the first day of spring. As for in history, in 1900, John Hay, the U.S. Secretary, announced that all nations he had sent messages to request an open-door policy to China had accepted. In 1933, the first Nazi concentration camp was completed. And lastly, in 2016, Barack Obama became the first U.S. president to visit Cuba since 1928. As for birthdays, Monday was Fred Rogers, or Mr. Rogers' birthday. As for deaths, in 2020, Kenny Rogers died. Next up is Tuesday the 21st of March, which is National Ag Day, Single Parent, and French Bread Day. As for history, in 1804, the Napoleonic Code was adopted in France. In 1962, Yogi the Bear became the first creature to be ejected at supersonic speed by an ejection seat. And lastly, in 2014, Russia formally annexed Crimea. As for birthdays, nothing of note, but in deaths, in 1617, Pocahontas died. Wednesday, the 22nd of March, is National Goof-Off Day and International Seal Day. As for history, in 1765, the Stamp Act was passed, which was a British tax on American colonists. In 1903, Niagara Falls ran out of water due to drought. In 1965, the U.S. confirmed its troops used chemical warfare against the Viet Cong. And lastly, in 2018, President Trump imposed $6 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese imports. As for birthdays, Wednesday is William Shatner's 91st birthday and Constance Wu's 40th birthday. Nothing in note for deaths. Next is Thursday the 23rd of March, which is National Puppy Day and World Meteorological Day. As for in history, in 1857, the first elevator was installed at 488 Broadway. In 1933, the Enabling Act was passed, granting Adolf Hitler dictatorial powers. In 1945, the Battle of Okinawa started with U.S. naval ships bombing the island in preparation for the invasion. As for birthdays, Thursday was Wernher von Braun's birthday. He was the man who helped the Nazis build the V-2 rocket, but he was also the key to the American space race, allowing America to put a man on the moon. And in deaths, in 2011, Elizabeth Taylor died. Friday, the 24th of March, is National Chocolate-Covered Raisin Day and International Achievers Day. As for in history, in 1837, Canada gave black citizens the right to vote. And in 2020, the COVID-19 outbreak started in China's Hubei province. As for birthdays, Friday was Harry Houdini's birthday and is Peyton Manning's 46th birthday. As for deaths, in 1905, Jules Verne died, and in 1976, Bernard Montgomery died. Next, we come to Saturday, the 25th of March, which is National Medal of Honor Day and Tolkien Reading Day. As for history, in 1807, the British Parliament abolished the slave trade throughout the British Empire. As for birthdays, Saturday was David Lean's and Aretha Franklin's birthday. Nothing of note in deaths. Lastly, we come to Sunday, the 26th of March, which is National Spinach Day. As for in history, in 1845, the precursor to the Band-Aid was patented. In 1953, Dr. Joan Salks announced that the first vaccine to prevent polio was successful, and trials began later the next year. In 1966, the first large-scale anti-Vietnam War protest took place in the United States. As for birthdays, Sunday was Robert Frost's birthday and is Nancy Pelosi's 82nd birthday. As for deaths, in 1827, Ludwig von Beethoven died, and in 1903, Cecil Rhodes died. Starting off events with the Treasure Valley in performances in Boise. Starting Wednesday, there's a Tree Fort Musical Festival at 1201 West Grove Street. Then Wednesday, Kevin James is performing at 7 p.m. at the Morrison Center. Also Wednesday, Tom Taylor will be performing at 6 p.m. at Hilltop Station. Then moving to Saturday, Matt Baker is having a comedy/stunt show at 10:30 a.m. at the Idaho State Museum. Then from Friday to Sunday, there is the Boise Flower and Garden Show at the Boise Center. Check below for times. And then the Discovery Center has a new exhibit called the Fans Strike Back. It is one of the largest Star Wars fans exhibits featuring items from fans around the world. Then in Nampa, Thursday to Saturday, there's a Beauty and the Beast musical at 7:30 p.m. at the Nampa Civic Center. And in Emmett, Tuesday, there's a First Responder Appreciation Dinner at 7 p.m. at the Emmett Nazarene Church. Moving into fun events, in Meridian, Wednesday, there is a dance and social from 3:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Meridian Senior Center. In Nampa, next Monday, March 27th, there is a Lego animation class from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Harvard Rec Center. And in Emmett, Wednesday, there is a Soup, Study, and Compile event from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the St. Mary's Episcopal Church. In other events, in Boise, Sunday, the Boise Depot has a free open house from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are guided tours from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. In Meridian, Saturday, there is a grand opening for the Cookie Co. Company's new store at 10 a.m. at 6500 North Linder Road. In Nampa, Thursday, there is a proper tree pruning class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at City Hall. And then next Monday, March 27th, there's a spring break pickleball camp from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Midway Park. Also next Monday, March 27th, there's a spring break tennis camp from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Columbia High School for ages 6 to 9. And then lastly, next Tuesday, March 28th, there is a junior master gardener class from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And in Emmett, Wednesday and Thursday, there's a spring break science day class at the Gem County Recreation District building. Check below for times. And then lastly, in Star, next Monday, March 20th, there is a State Parks Art and Beautification meeting at 6:30 p.m. at Star City Hall. For more information about anything talked about, go check the link in the description below. Moving a little east here, we have Eastern Idaho. In performances in Pocatello, Saturday through Sunday, there's the Idaho Gem and Mineral Society show from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Bannock County Fairgrounds. Then next Monday, March 27th, the Glenn Miller Orchestra will be performing at 7:30 p.m. at the Stevens Performing Arts Center. And in Idaho Falls, Tuesday, there is a live jazz and blues performance from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at 435 A Street, Idaho Falls. In fun events in Pocatello, Tuesday, there is a science trivia night from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at 305 East Street, Pocatello. And then Saturday, there is a homeschooler informational meeting from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Christ Church. Tuesday, there is a Creative Corner for Teens at 4:30 p.m. at the Rexburg City Hall. Thursday, there is an open studio for adults at 10 a.m. at City Hall. And then Thursday, there is an intro to watercolor class for adults at 7 p.m. at City Hall. In other events in Twin Falls, Thursday, there is a sewing class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 762 Falls Avenue, Twin Falls. And then in Idaho Falls, Saturday, there is an intro to candle creation class at 2 p.m. at 429 B Street, Idaho Falls. For more information about anything talked about, go check the link in the description below. Moving a little bit northernly, we have the McCall Cascade area. Nothing in performances, but in fun events in McCall, there's a cross-country skiing and snowshoeing at the Meadow Creek Golf Resort from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For an adult day pass, it is $10, and for youth, it is $5. It'll be going until April 30th. In Cascade, Thursday through till Sunday, there is a ice skating open at the Cascade Aquatic and Recreation Center. Then Friday, there is a swing dance class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is free for all ages to attend and will be happening at the Valley Club building. It will be on country and line dancing. If you have any questions, call Steve at 208-861-8486. And then Friday, there is bingo at the Senior Center from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. In other events in McCall, Tuesday, there is a Tech Tuesday from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the McCall Public Library. They'll be doing 3D printing and have board games to do while they're waiting for the 3D printers to finish up, because that does take a little bit. And then in Cascade, Saturday, there is a Mastering Mountain Gardening seminar series at the Cascade Food Pantry. Times was not stated, but you might have to call them and check for that. And then lastly, next Monday, March 27th, there is a book club meeting from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cascade Cultural Arts Center. For more information on anything talked about, go check the link in the description below. Moving on to northern Idaho here and our last section. In performances in Lewiston Sunday, there is a Whiz Jazz event from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Silver Throne Theater. In Sandpoint Saturday, there is a Red Riding Hood performing at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Pineda Theater. And then Sunday, there's a motorsport film called Keep the Bike Moving premiering at the Pineda Theater. In fun events, just one here in Sandpoint Thursday, there is a trivia night from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Paddler's Ale House. And other events in Sandpoint Thursday, there is a date night fundraiser from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 130 North 6th Avenue. And then in Moscow Tuesday, there is an apple tree grafting workshop from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Layton County Fair office. And then lastly, Wednesday, there is a State of Public Safety address from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then lastly, Wednesday, there is a State of Public Safety address from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 1912 Center. For more information about anything talked about, go check the link in the description below. Moving into the news, we have our first story here. Ada County home prices coming back up for February. This comes by several sources. An update on housing prices in the Valley. If you remember last month, we talked about how the average price to buy a home in Ada County and Canyon County had continued to come down. Well, the February report is out now, which shows prices going slightly back up. In February, the median price for a home in Ada was $492,115, and in Canyon, $389,345. Now that's still between 12% and 11.5% down from last year at the same time. To show that last spring prices in Ada County were over $600,000 and over $475,000 in Canyon County. As for how long it takes for a house to sell, this time last year, houses were selling in less than 2 weeks. Now they're taking a little longer at about 3 months. If you're speaking about numbers, it takes on average about 78 days for a house to sell in Ada County and 86 in Canyon County. Which for people who own houses in Idaho, this is kind of a good thing. Your value is going to go up. So if you were wanting to sell or if you're wanting to move or different things, this is great or perfect for you because, you're going to hopefully it'll continue up for you and then you can sell your house at a greater amount. But for all the people that are trying to move into the Valley or people like myself that live in the Valley and are trying to find a place, not super encouraging to hear that they're going back up. I mean, granted, for context, if you want, you can go look at the graphs. The Boise Dev does a wonderful job showing that. In general, housing prices are lower than they were last year and continue to seem to be in that lower bracket. We'll have to see if this continues to go up or if it's just going to level off and continue where it's at or whatever else. But at least it's encouraging to know that it's 12 to 11.5% down from last year about the same time. I mean, if you look at the graph of like just last fall, it was screaming high. And then you look at where we're at now, kind of just visualizing that whole thing. It's way, way better to see. So it's encouraging, but also a little discouraging. But I thought it was something very relevant to share. I don't have a lot more commentary. Numbers are numbers, so there's not much I can say on it. But hopefully for all of us that are trying to find a place, those numbers will not creep up very high and they will continue to stay low due to the interest rates and different stuff and the financial markets that are happening right now. But it's anyone's guess here at the moment. I mean, I take that back. Some people would say, well, it's not anyone's guess. The interest rates and everything will, but in Idaho in general, it's just weird with houses because it's so popular and we're seeming to always be growing even a slight or major amount. So it'll be interesting to see if the amount of interest rates and different turmoil in the economy that's occurring is going to affect the crazy, crazy hot market that we're having here in Idaho. But we'll have to see coming up here into the next couple months. But moving into a little bit more of a uplifting note, Idaho potato ice cream. This comes by several sources. You love Idaho, so you must like potatoes, and everyone loves ice cream, but what if you could have all of those at once? Well, you can do that now. According to the Idaho Potato Commission, they did a survey recently trying to identify the best flavor combinations. Milkshakes and fries were the best, just barely beating out biscuits and gravy. So they teamed up with New York-based Von Leeuwen Dairy Company to make a limited edition malted milkshake flavored ice cream with French fry bits in it. You can purchase it in stores in New York and Los Angeles, and you can also order online for $12, which I'm very, very excited about this, and I'm kind of cool thing to see that they did that, and also kind of interesting that that was like one of the biggest ones they got in their survey and whatever else. But on the flip side, if you're gonna make an ice ice cream that's related to like a state. On the container, it says like Idaho potato, malted milkshake, ice cream or whatever. I can't remember the technical name off the top of my head. You should at least sell it locally in the state that it's about. Like if you did something about New York, or you did something about California, or you did something about Oregon, you should like at least make an effort to be like, okay, I got my locations, but let's sell it in that state or find someone to do that, rather than all of us here, they're like, cool, it's about us, but then we have to ship it or also be in New York or Los Angeles or something. Kind of the little part that bugged me just a wee little bit, that it should be a little easier for me to access if it's about my state that I live in. I know I'm personally not a person that likes to mix things. I know some people love the combination of stuff, even like as simple as having pie with a little bit of ice cream. I know I might make some people mad here, but I personally don't prefer that. The pie or cobbler or whatever it is just delicious the way it is. Why do you have to mix it with other things? It's delicious. And I know some people, or not some people, most people, I know I'm in the minority in that relation, say that, because you have those different extremes, that if you've got something warm, you got something cold, or in this case, you got something cold and sweet, and then you have something warm and salty, those differences and the excitement it causes, they enjoy, which I can understand. I can conceptualize why you would want that. But for me personally, when it comes to food, I don't like extremes. I like a beautifully designed flavor that works well and is well balanced, not this crazy, energetic, all over the place stuff. I mean, not to say, some more Mexican foods and stuff I don't enjoy because of the spices, but it's all balanced. It's in this kind of uniform dance of flavors that's all designed to work with each other. And I don't feel like some of these mixtures are that way. Granted, with that said, I haven't tried milkshakes and fries just because I'm not a person who makes stuff. I love milkshakes, and I definitely love French fries because, here in Idaho, that's basically vegetables for dinner. But to each their own. I mean, if you're going to call foul and call me crazy, then go for it. I know I'm crazy. Yeah. But anywho, if you're interested, I may or may not buy one to just get and try to see. But if any of you guys do end up buying a container of it, let me know what you guys think, if it's good or bad. I have no idea. I mean, I think the reason that milkshake and fries is so good and so tasty for some people is because of those extremes, and the French fries are warm. Cold French fry bits in the ice cream doesn't sound the most appetizing to me, but I also know this isn't quite the person or the market they're aiming for. So you guys will have to let me know. Next story here is potholes in eastern Idaho. This comes by the East Idaho News by Mary Boyle. For those of you in the eastern part of Idaho, no, you're not crazy. There are more potholes than normal forming in the roads. Due to the extreme weather that the eastern part of the state has been having, it has caused roads to get warmer and then rapidly cool again, thus causing cracks and potholes to form faster than normal. The Idaho Department of Transportation is trying to deal with the issue, but they are limited by the amount of staff, weather, and what repair methods they have available. The same people that clear the roads of snow and put down the de-icer are the same people tasked with taking care of the potholes, which you can obviously see causes a limit of manpower. And due to that kind of crazy cold extreme weather, all the known hot asphalt plants that make the repair material to permanently fix those can't start up until mid-April. So right now they're doing temporary fixes and asking people to be careful when driving. Which sounds kind of crazy, but on the other hand, if you look at like the planning and logistics and you're like, cool, we can run this from this time to that time, and then we can shut that down so we can save funding and money, which, at the end of the day, I want them to be frugal with their money and careful with it and not just spend it like crazy. Normally, it would be fine, but right now, it's not fine because you've got more potholes that are forming and stuff, and you're like, well, let's try to fix those. And they're like, well, the material that we need to fix those with the hot asphalt and stuff, we can't make at the moment because the plants are off and they're not designed to operate during the winter because normally we're not doing repairs during the winter and stuff. So, yeah, I can't do that right now. So I'm glad, they're trying to address it. They're doing temporary fixes and stuff. But for those of you over there that may be frustrated and lamenting and venting about the obvious issues of the road conditions there, they're trying their best with what they caught at the moment, it sounds like. Then again, I'm not involved in it. You might be like, well, they could do this, or they could do that, and blah, blah, blah. But I get the point. But if they don't have the material and they also don't have a ton of manpower and it's hard to get out there to then work on it and the things they have are just temporary fixes, then I think they're doing the best they could do. Now, if we get into summer here or early spring and they're struggling to keep up with the management of stuff, then yeah, I would say then you've got some reason to vent, but hopefully they'll be able to manage that and fix that. And then also, I just wanted to share this for all you over there in Eastern Idaho to just be careful while traveling around so you're aware of things and that you don't get a bunch of flat tires, and just be careful not running into potholes, because that does not sound fun. I can imagine you're like driving to work and you're like, do, and then you got your coffee, your tea with you or whatever, and you're like, oh, let me reach over and take a sip, and all of a sudden, clunk. Oh man, that would drive me mad. I'd just be like, well, fine. I'm not going to drink or do anything. I'm just going to have my hands glued to the wheel the entire time I am driving. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do anyways, but that's a minor detail. We won't talk about that. But let's see here. I think we'll move on to our next one and our last main story. I will stress that you might realize there's not a lot of stories. Not a lot of news stories that were worth doing a full kind of recording on. Here is our last one and our fun one. Colors coming to the Shoshone Falls. This comes by KTV B7 by staff. So near Twin Falls, for those of you that don't know, there are the Shoshone Falls. They are 212 feet high and 925 feet across. They are 45 feet taller than Niagara Falls. Well, last year, the city of Twin Falls, Southern Idaho Tourism, Idaho Central Credit Union, and Idaho Power worked together to set up LED lights that would then light up the entire falls with color. It was so popular that it attracted people from outside the state to come, and it sold out very quickly. Well, this last Tuesday, they announced they would be doing it again for the third consecutive year. It will be open from April 27th to 30th and May 4th to 7th. And purchased and timed vehicle tickets are available. The city of Twin Falls and its other partners are hoping to make this more of an annual tradition going forward as well, which, seeing the photos and stuff, it looks super, super cool. I'm actually really tempted to buy some tickets here to go see it, because the idea of it, I didn't know it was so big. I mean, I was doing the research for this kind of, I know it's like a little short clip or whatever else, but I was like, I'm curious, how big are the falls and stuff here? So I went and looked it up, and then I kind of found out later that KTVB7 in their article has it. But anyway, I went into like the Wikipedia page, and it is a big, big waterfall. I am surprised I haven't been to it before. If any of you others have, let me know what you think. Did you enjoy it? But man, super, super big waterfall. I can't imagine what that would be like for it to all be lit up and color and stuff. It'd probably be a really, really cool spectacle to see, especially in like the early spring when there's just so much water from all the melting and runoff that's occurring. I thought I'd share this. It looks really cool. I might end up going. If you do, maybe we'll run into each other. I don't know, but I thought I would share it because I think it would be something cool for everyone to know that's going on, that they can attend and go and see, and hopefully get tickets before they sell out and everything. Moving into quickies, we have a couple. Work on Caldwell Bridge. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. For those in Caldwell, here's a heads up. The I-84 bridge and 2 adjacent ramps of Centennial Way will have crews working on them starting this last Saturday. The bridge will be worked on first, and then the westbound on-ramp and eastbound off-ramp second. Lane restrictions will be in place from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. on the weekends and from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. during the week. New Italian ice cream and custard store. This comes by the Boise Dev by Gretchen Parsons. There is a new Italian ice cream place in Boise. It is called MJ's Italian Ice and Custard Cafe. Is located at 4103 West State Street in Boise, where the Sweet Valley Cookie Co. used to be. Many of their flavors are made in-house, and all of them are gluten and dairy-free for those that need that. They also have baked goods, chorizo donuts, and soft pretzels to go with your cold treats. They're open most days except for Sunday. Amazon delivery station in eastern Idaho. This comes by the East Idaho News by Rhett Nelson. Those in Idaho Falls may be getting faster Amazon deliveries. Last Wednesday, the East Idaho News reported that the Amazon logo had shown up on a sign outside the warehouse at 3700 South Pioneer Drive. They reached out to Amazon, and a spokesperson said that the building was a delivery station for the company. Packages go to them after they are fulfilled at the fulfillment center. Then it is the station's job to deliver those processed orders. The spokesperson said they'll be hiring here soon. Next one is Idaho Ice World goes electric. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Last Tuesday, Idaho Ice World added their first and the state's first fully electric ice resurfacing machine. The mayor of Boise was there to take it for a ride and promote her carbon neutral by 2050 plan. The machine runs on lithium-ion battery power, and according to the city of Boise, requires no battery maintenance. School bond/levy results. This comes by KTVB7. This last Tuesday was Idaho's school bond and levy election day. For those interested in the results, there is a link below showing what those were for each one of the elections throughout the state. Then we come to our last Quickie here update on Ross Park water slide. This comes by the East Idaho News by staff. We talked about it last week in preparation for the new water slide at Ross Aquatic Complex. The old one is being removed to make room for the new slide that will be put in at some point. Moving into politics, we'll start off with the facts section. This is the part where I will just give you pure facts, nitty-gritties, and none of my opinion. And then if you want to hear my discussion and opinion, then you can stay for the second half, which is the discussion half. First off, we have the House and Senate, so there's a lot happening each week here. I can't cover every bill that's being worked on and passed and everything, but I will share as many as possible in the ones that seem significant. Starting off with the House and bills making their way through, we have House Bill 331 related to tobacco product tax, amends existing laws to provide for the taxation of electronic smoking products and devices and allocate those tax revenues. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Gerald Raymond and Brooke Green. The status is that it was read for the first time. Then we have House Bill 314 related to minors, adds to and amends existing laws to prohibit certain materials from being promoted, given, or made available to a minor by a school or public library, and to provide a cause of action. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Sidney Carlson and Representative Jaron Crane. The status is that it was read for the second time and filed for third reading. Then we have House Bill 309 related to elections, amends existing laws to provide that no in-person student instruction shall take place on certain election days. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Craig L. Lanting, Julie Yamamoto, and Phil McGrain, Secretary of State. The status of it is that it was read for the first time. Moving on to House Bill 307 related to crimes, adds to existing law to provide that providing or administering an mRNA shot is a misdemeanor. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Tammy Nichols and Representative Judy Boyle. The status is that it was read for the first time. And then we come to our last House Bill 298 related to crimes and punishments, amends, repeals, and adds to existing laws to revise a provision regarding interstate trafficking in prostitution to provide for the crime of receiving proceeds of illegal sexual activity and to prohibit for human trafficking of victim protection. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Jaron Crane and Bruce D. Skog. The status is that it was read for the first time and is in committee. In House bills passed, we have two. We have House Bill 309 related to elections, amends existing laws to provide that no in-person student instruction shall take place on certain election days. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Craig L. Lanting, Julie Yamamoto, and Phil McGrain, Secretary of State. The vote was 37-32-1. The status of it currently is that it was read for the first time in the Senate after passing. Then we come to House Bill 239 related to voting, amends existing laws regarding the unlawfulness of aliens voting in Idaho. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Dale R. Hawkins. The bill passed with a vote of 66-04. The status is that it was filed for second reading in the Senate. And in bills that failed this week, we have House Bill 293 related to elections, amends and adds to existing laws to provide for State Board of Education member elections. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Joe Alfieri and Senator Brian Lean. It failed with a vote of 34-35-1. Moving on to the Senate and bills working their way through, we have House Bill 239, amends existing laws regarding the unlawfulness of aliens voting in Idaho. The sponsor of the bill is Dale R. Hawkins, and the status is filed for second reading. Then we have Senate Bill 1173, Prevention of Public Offenses, amends existing laws to provide for the defensive display or declaration of a firearm, and to provide that the defensive display or declaration of firearms shall not be required in certain instances. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Todd M. Lakely and Representative Judy Boyle. The status of the bill is that it was read for the first time. Then we have Senate Bill 1162, related to motor vehicles, as to existing laws to prohibit smoking or vaping in a motor vehicle if a minor is present. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Dave Lent and Luke Riggs. The status is that it was filed for first reading. Then we have House Concurrent Resolution 6, related to Taiwan. State findings of the legislator and recognizes the importance of a strong and enduring partnership with Taiwan and support Taiwan's meaningful participation in important international organization. The sponsor of the bill is Representative D. Skog and Sue Chu. The status is that it was retained on the calendar. Then we have House Bill 186, Methods of Execution, amends existing laws to provide for the execution by a firing squad and to provide for certain requirements prior to an execution. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Bruce D. Skog and Senator Doug Ricks. The status is that it was filed for third reading. Then we come to the last one here, and bills working their way through. Senate Bill 1081, related to transportation, amends and adds to existing laws to provide for a restricted driver's license. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Jim Guthrie. The status is that it was recommended to State Affairs. In bills passed, we have Senate Bill 1153, related to schools, adds to existing law to establish provisions regarding teacher spending accounts. Sponsors of the bill is Senator Ben Tays, Scott Herndon, and Representative Lori McCann. It passed with a vote of 34-01. The status of it is that it is moving to the House. Then we have Senate Joint Memorial 101, related to immigration. State findings of the legislator and requests the President of the United States and the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States to take action with all deliberate speed to adopt and implement targeted immigration reform. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Jim Guthridge, and the vote that it passed with was 25-10-0. The status is that it was filed for the first time in the House. Then we come to Senate Bill 1127, related to state symbols, adds to existing laws to designate Orectodromius as the state dinosaur. The sponsor of the bill was Senator Kevin Cook, and it passed with a vote of 35-0-0. The status is that it was filed for the first time in the House. Then we come to our last one, Senate Bill 1133, related to coronavirus, adds to existing laws to establish the Coronavirus Stop Act, prohibit certain actions related to coronavirus. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Ben Adams, Chuck Winder, Todd M. Lakely, and Representative Brett Crane. The bill passed with a vote of 28-7-0. The status is that it was filed for first reading in the House. Then we come to a little bit of a new segment here where we talk about the bills that have passed both the House and Senate, which mean now they're just up for the governor to sign or veto depending on how much vote and support they got from the House and Senate. We just call it passed House and Senate. The first one we have here is Senate Bill 1100, related to education, adds to existing laws to establish privacy and safety standards in public schools. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Ben Adams. The House voted 59-10-1, and the Senate voted 28-7-0. As to the status, it is waiting for the governor's signature. Then we have House Bill 22, related to sales and use tax, adds to existing laws to provide for the withholding of sales and use tax from city and county governments in certain instances. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Bruce D. Skog. It passed the House with a vote of 53-13-4 and 56-13-1, and it passed the Senate with a vote of 28-7-0. The status of it is that it is finishing up. Then we have House Bill 116, related to consumer protection, amends existing laws to revise provisions regarding automatic subscription renewal cancellations. It passed the House with a vote of 68-02, and it passed the Senate with a vote of 34-10. The status is that it is finishing up. Then we come to Senate Bill 1036, related to raw milk, amends existing laws to revise provisions regarding raw milk and raw milk production. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Scott Herndon. It passed the House with a vote of 63-5-2, and it passed the Senate with a vote of 34-0-1. As for the status, it is finishing up. Then we come to Senate Bill 1042, related to education, amends existing laws to exempt certain public charter schools from having to demonstrate strong academic results to qualify for public charter school facility program, and to revise a limitation on issuing bonds under the public charter school facility program. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Chuck Winder and Lori Dan Harton. It passed the House with a vote of 68-1-1 and the Senate with a vote of 33-0-2. As for the status, it is finishing up. Then we come to Senate Bill 1033, related to irrigation, adds to existing laws to provide for the appropriation of groundwater for supplemental irrigation use. The sponsor of the bill is Senator Van T. Burtonshaw. The House voted 70-0-0 and the Senate voted 35-0-0. As for the status, is finishing up in the Senate. Then we come to Senate Bill 1005, immunization, amends existing laws to require that a daycare facility provide citations to the immunization exemption law in communication with parents. The sponsor of the bill is Scott Hender, and the House voted 66-4-0 and the Senate voted 34-0-1. As for the status, it is waiting for the governor's signature. And we come to our last one here. We have House Bill 133, related to motor vehicles, amends existing laws to allow private parental driver's education. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Ron Mendive, and it passed the House with a vote of 61-81 and the Senate with a vote of 23-12-0. As for the status, it is waiting for the governor's signature. And that closes us out for bills and the facts section of politics. Hey guys, usually this is the part of the show where I would get into the discussion and talk about stuff, but you will notice by the length of the podcast, I did not do that, mainly because of the part that I ran out of time this week to fit it in. I am sorry. That is on me, some planning issues and different stuff. I wasn't able to get through it. I'm sorry about that, but when I was looking at the bottom line, making this week and everything, I was just like, nope, we're not going to be able to fit this in, and it's better to get it out than not have it at all. I'm sorry if you were looking forward to the discussion section, but I decided I'm just going to have to scrap it and go with what I got for now. Hopefully, love to hear from you next week, and we'll have that ready for you. Sorry about that. Thank you for listening to the whole podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and it was valuable for you. If I missed something, got something wrong, or you have some advice for the show, then send me an email at localyokelidaho2022@gmail.com or tweet me at localyokelidaho on Twitter. This show is a one-man show, so I can't afford to go over everything, but I hope I can cover as many things as possible. Thank you for your help and support. That's all for now, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your week. Godspeed.